Anybody else noticing these two queens out here fighting in the street, Nick Fuentes and JD Vance out here duking it out for world domination of the MAGA cult brand in 2028? You guys, if you want to hear my working theory about how this looks like they're infighting and MAGA is ripping itself to shreds, but in truth, it's actually just a well choreographed dance to fool everyone before the election, stick around because I could pretty much guarantee that you're not going to hear this on the mainstream news. Okay, so first we have to go back for just a second. In 2016, remember, right? The whole MAGA movement was just like this big, wide, messy circus of nonsense, right? Blue collar workers, suburban moms who get rid of the woke agenda. And then, of course, you had the far right, like crazies, right? They wanted to like overturn Roe v. Wade. And they had this whole like very quiet whispers of like white nationalism, but it was like fringe, right? It was a circus, but it worked because it was that whole anti-elite rage glued together under one tent. Okay, now flash forward to November of 2025. And what you now see is that the MAGA tent, basically the only people who are truly supporting MAGA at this point, right? It's two factions. You either have white nationalists or Christian nationalists. Moderates who voted for Trump while holding their nose in 2024, they've peeled away. They're not here for the drama. So you have the Christian nationalists, mostly evangelical, the ones that are just all over Project 2025, right? They want like anti-LGBTQ laws. They want religion in every school. You guys have met the kind. But increasingly, that movement is starting to sort of overlap with this more sinister white nationalist movement, which has moved from the margins into the mainstream. And don't take my word for it if you guys didn't see that Tucker Carlson platformed Nick Fuentes, which is almost impossible to believe, but it happened. And then you had Kevin Roberts, who is the guy behind Project 2025. Literally, he's the one that basically helped to choose to put Vance in the vice president seat. And he's out here basically signing off on, yeah, Nick Fuentes, it's fine. Right there, that looks like hypocrisy, right? Why would Kevin Roberts, the one who basically is responsible for JD Vance being in his current position, JD Vance wrote the foreword for Kevin Roberts' book, okay? Why would Kevin Roberts be saying like, oh yeah, no, Nick Fuentes is fine? Because if you look, Nick Fuentes is the one gunning for JD Vance. He's constantly talking shit about Usha, right? Saying how she's basically an abomination to the white nationalist movement, this, that, and the third. The polls show this with perfect clarity, right? The only people who are truly diehard MAGA at this point, in light of everything that's happened with the economy and ICE and everything else, these people are racially motivated, all right? Or they are true and through evangelicals who do not give a rip about anything else. Again, because they're starting to overlay with that white nationalist movement. Don't worry, I have receipts. So that brings up queen number one, JD Vance, right? Who, he has one of two choices. He can stand by his family and then he's going to piss off the white nationalists. Because of course, white nationalists are not going to be down for having a Hindu first lady in 2028 with biracial children. That's just not going to work. Or he's going to have to rebrand himself, aka divorce Usha and marry Erica Kirk. I did a video about that last week. Go check it out. And redefine the whole purity narrative, right? No, we're Christian. We're a Christian nation, okay? With his new white wife, and they sail in as the new Christian white power couple, thereby satisfying both sides of the base. Before I give you the real meat in the sandwich, if you're still watching this, that means that you're the kind of person who's not just scrolling, you're trying to connect the dots. Like, repost, and follow for updates, and consider subscribing for my private weekly lives with my subscribers, where I can talk about things that I can't talk openly about on this app anymore because you guys know who owns it now, right? If you want to subscribe and help support my work, there's a little subscribe link right there. Okay. Here's where Kevin Roberts and the Heritage Foundation come back in. Kevin Roberts basically signed off on Nick Fuentes being platformed by somebody like Tucker Carlson, right? It flies in the face of Kevin Roberts' support for JD Vance, but it doesn't if you look at the strategy, right? We're 1 year out almost to the day from the midterms today. The base is tired. Turnout is dipping. People have to be passionate to come out to the polls in the midterms. That's not like the general election where, huge amounts of people turn out. It's really only people that are really, really paying attention and really, really passionate. So what do you want to do? You want to lean into the white nationalist side because those people vote. They come out to the polls. Yes, even though you've got Fuentes over here throwing shade at JD Vance, they have time to clean that mess up. Roberts basically throws red meat to the base by saying like, yeah, Fuentes is great. And that tells the super white nationalist, not Christian nationalist, white nationalist side of MAGA, oh yeah, they mean to seal the deal. So yeah, let's get to the polls. Let's vote, right? Because their voter turnout is that is the biggest threat to them moving this plan forward past 2026, okay? So they throw red meat to the base, they get them out to the polls, they vote. Okay, Then that brings us past 2026. Well, now you have to rein in the white nationalists, right? And now you have to pander to the Christian nationalists, okay? So what happens? This is my opinion, that this is when, this is past 2026, you are going to see Vance move away from Usha and towards, I'm guessing, Erica Kirk, because it's just the most obvious, all right? For a million reasons, not the least of which is she's a pipeline into all the MAGA youth. Guys, don't forget to share this with a friend if this is making what you're seeing click into place and you're like, oh shit, that's what's actually happening in the background. You also have to look at the timeline, right? That's 2 years, which gives the perfect transformation story timeline. It gives Erica Kirk time to cool off from being newly widowed. It gives Vance time to initiate or finalize his divorce or annulment. And then JD Vance and Erica Kirk come onto the scene and it looks more like religious alignment, spiritual purity cleansing, right? That JD Vance has decided that to be true to the cause, he can't be a contradiction. He has to get rid of the Hindu wife because he has to present for the Christian nationalist side of the MAGA base, which also includes a huge amount of the people that were in the middle, to bring them back into the tent, right? So he gets together with Erica Kirk and now he's Christian. He's satisfied the white nationalists and the Christian nationalists, and he can ride those coattails right back into the White House. Because together they become the visible redemption arc, the faithful Catholic senator and the grieving Christian mother, uniting under God to restore America's soul. It's a rebrand wrapped in racial purity and religious wholesomeness. Moderates get to see a family values couple, spiritual purification. Everybody gets what they want. And from the sidelines, you've got Nick Fuentes, who's acting as he's fanning the flames, calling Usha a globalist infiltrator, right? And what you see is you see JD Vance being very, very silent on the matter. That's because he is putting distance between himself and Usha, not by calling it out. Because if you guys remember back in 2024, he was like, hey, don't say that about her. She's a great mom. But since then, nothing. Here's the full choreography, okay? In 2025, Roberts mainstreams Fuentes to keep the base enraged. In 2026, that outrage fuels midterm turnout. In 2027, the movement cleans house, purging the extremists it just used. By 2028, Vance emerges rebranded, possibly alongside Erica Kirk, definitely in my opinion, offering Christian renewal as the sanitized face of the same old MAGA. If you're only watching the headlines, it looks like the movement is splintering. But if you watch the timing, the heritage moves, the silence from Vance, the soft reintroduction of Fuentes into mainstream spaces, it is all too synchronized to just be coincidence. This is the prelude, not the finale. They're not fighting each other. They're rehearsing the reunion tour. Y'all let me know what you think in the comments.